in the world. She also happens to be an observant Jew, and I like putting it that way. She's also married to Jack Euclid, brilliant guy. She has 3 amazing children. She recently made Aliyah, and she is really, really, I don't even know how to say it. She's so what I believe artists should be. I picked 4 artists for you from different ages. Leonardo, Drew, they're all good friends of mine. I have to be truth in advertising. I've known all of them for over 30 years, except for the last artist, Ariel Cohen. That's because he's only 27, but I've known him since his bar mitzvah. So I knew he was a brilliant artist from a very young age. Meryl is the sanitation department's first artist. She believes in the environment. She believes in feminism. She believes in Judaism. She believes in women. I'm going to ask her a lot of questions. I have to admit, and I'm the teaser when I interview her, I've interviewed so many artists in my life. I've never had to change the questions and the images more than for Meryl. So she's a very hands-on artist, and you are all lucky, as is the organization, that she said yes. She's intense, so you should definitely come. I promise you, she's great. So now let's talk about the gallery tours. So I've been doing gallery tours since I graduated graduate school. New York Magazine picked me. I'm just telling you because I want you to know that I know a little about gallery tours. I was picked #1 in New York for gallery tours. So this is my belief system in being a gallery tour guide. #1, important for you to know, you're not doing this with me, but I take collectors to buy art. I'm an art advisor. I'm an artist educator / art advisor. And when I take people, there's something called double dipping. And that means either you get paid by the client or you get paid by the gallery. I have never taken a penny from a gallery because I don't want that responsibility. I advise collectors what I think would fit in their collection. So somebody calls me up and says, we want to spend X amount of money. We want photographs, we want paintings, we want sculptures. And then I make a group of shows that relate to their specific wants and needs. So when I do gallery tours like this, where I'm not doing that, I do that for the JCC in New Jersey, and I've been doing that since 1980, and I've had many people for 2 generations, meaning the parents came with me, and now the children are in the tour, and many of the people have been there, not all of them, but many of them been there since year 1. I do it during auction periods. I used to do it all the time. Now I only do it in the spring and the fall. So for you guys, I decided I first was going to go all over the world, and then I decided, let's make believe you're all in New York with me, and I'm taking you on a tour of Chelsea. So 2 of the weeks, I'm going to be as if we're walking. I'll say, hi, good morning. We have a great day today. Everyone teases me that I always say the same thing. And we're going from 18th Street to 22nd Street. And then the next one will be from 21st Street to 26th. In other words, I want you to feel what it feels like if you were in New York with me at a given time. The last 2, I'm going all over the world because it's fun to do that online. So what I do since COVID is I show videos, so you should see what the artist looks like. So you're not only seeing his or her or their art, you're hearing from them. So we're starting with the first show. And now, Ari, you'll start with the first show. So this is a show. Joe Bradley, he had a show at the Albright-Knox. I have to admit, I've had a solo show at the Albright-Knox too. And they made this little video. So here it is. It's 4 minutes. Enjoy it.
The works that were painted on unprepared canvas, just raw canvas, those were painted primarily on the floor of the studio, unstretched. And as a result, they pick up all sorts of incidental marks, and typically I'd work on a painting and then flip it over and work on the other side. And then so sometimes the wet paint from, one side of the painting would end up on the floor and then would sort of migrate to the next painting. And I just sort of found that those sort of accidents and incidental marks that came from that approach to painting were exciting and led to unexpected twists in how the painting resolved. And working unstretched on the floor, it's very, it's different than having a painting hanging on the wall, and you sort of don't really consider it, you don't really look at it like a painting. You don't think of composition in the same way. You're not getting sort of, bogged down and thinking how the upper left-hand corner looks in relation to the, lower right-hand corner. And so it's sort of a surprise when you hang it on the wall, it's which is kind of exciting sometimes. It's basically just collage, a way of creating unexpected results. And it was sort of one of these things that was arrived at almost accidentally. There were pieces of canvas around on the floor and on the wall, and just started arranging them and thinking like, oh, maybe this would work as a part of a larger piece better than it does on its own. Those paintings happen very gradually, really, and there's long periods of time, but like I'll work, there'll be sort of a flurry of activity, and then they just sort of kind of sit around for a month or two. That's funny, I had somebody over to the studio recently, a painter, and we were kind of talking shop, and he was saying that he needed to finish a painting within a week, and that if he didn't, he would lose contact with the thing. And I thought, well, it's quite, the opposite with me. I feel like I need to lose contact with the painting to then sort of feel free to deface it in a way, like I need to get some sort of remove from the thing. Well, there's this idea, like particularly with the kind of painting that I'm trafficking in, that there's you're sort of expressing the ego in some way, and it's really the opposite. Like you have to suppress your ego to really paint. And a finished painting tends to sort of sneak up on you, or on me in this case. I know when they're not done. You can definitely look at something and feel that it's unresolved. I think when a painting is finished, you look at it and it feels like looking at somebody else's painting in a way. You can look at it from some sort of removed point of view.
Okay. So the reason I start with this is I want you to hear what the artist sounds like. And I think it's important for you to realize how hard it is for an artist to talk into a blank screen. So I wanted you to see this because this relates to the exhibition. So now let's go to the exhibition. I love the exhibition. It's in 4 rooms, and then in the front room is works on paper. And yes, do I know that his works on paper remind me a lot of Philip Guston? No joke. So let's go into the show. So first of all, you now understand, if you stand back, when you look at a painting, it's always good to stand back and get close. So now you're standing back and you realize that there's certain colors in his paintings that he reuses over and over again. And number 2, that it's not like Western art, it's more like an Eastern art, because it's not about foreground, middle ground, background. He's playing with you as you look at the space. Now, it's a very smart thing that the gallery, when you walk into the gallery, I'm making believe I'm walking in with you, you see just one painting in a room. And then you go to the other rooms, as Ari's going to press the arrow on there, right there. We're going to go in, and then you see 2 paintings on a wall, and you say to yourself, when I buy this one day, I'm not going to have both paintings on the wall, but to see it in a museum or in a gallery, it's very interesting to see how the white and black dots on the painting on the left feels like the figure is coming out at you. And on the painting on the right, it almost looks like the blue is on top. And that, I have to say, is a great tribute to the gallery, because when you want to look at one painting to another painting on a wall, it's always good to see that they don't look like they're the same painting, but they have some sort of relationship. The other thing I want to say is I find it fascinating that he showed you that he works on the floor, because he can walk around the painting and he can walk on top of it, and you don't have to worry about damaging, because it's not one of those pristine images. Let's go to the next one. Now you see how interesting it looks when you see the two smaller paintings, and now you see scale. In many galleries today, they'll have a person standing in the gallery, so you begin to feel how large each piece is. So this show just closed. I took it with my class last week, but I stuck it in here because it relates to the other paintings we're seeing today. Now, you can also understand, did you notice on the floor in his studio, he had everything lying on top of each other? That to me makes it interesting, because then you see those two white planes might have been a piece of paper that was standing there, and then he puts it in there. And that one looks like it's floating in outer space. Now, another thing that I find very important, if you look at the very edges of the painting, he sometimes puts a little bit of color. Thank you. Oh my God, Ari, you're great at this. And that's how he chooses to frame it after he painted it on the floor. So remember, there's certain artists, I'm one of them, I paint on wood, so I can't do that. I need to look at it as a unified structure. He wants that game playing. Now, who does that remind you of? If anyone says Grandma Moses, you are correct, because Grandma Moses used to do big, big paintings, and then if a gallery told her I need 10 of them, she would just cut them, and therefore very often you'll see her paintings painted around the edges. Let's go to the next.
Hey, quick questions before we go on. Do you know this artist personally?
Not well. He's a friend of mine. Why? Who wants to know him?
No, I just want to know if the artists that you're showing us in general, if you know them or they're just.
Oh, no. They're very, I'll tell you if they're friends of mine. Yeah.
And then another question. How long do art shows usually last, like in an exhibit like this?
3 weeks, 3 weeks to 4 weeks. But because of COVID, you'll see this is even longer. COVID changed the whole art market. Usually it's between, so a museum show like my show at the Phillips, it's from February 16th to May 30th. Museum shows are usually 3 months. Gallery shows used to be anywhere between, in when seasons are insane, 4 weeks, and otherwise it can be 6 to 7 weeks.
And then last question, if Rita and Bob go in with you on the gallery tour and they want to buy the big painting there on the wall to the right, how does the financials work? How much is going to the artist? How much is going to the gallery?
Very good question. I'll tell you the whole thing. So if you had an art advisor, anyone, today I was giving a lecture and there were 2 art advisors that come with me to get advice, and then they go, art advisors can get you off 10% usually. That 10% goes to the art advisor. So the gallery gets 50%, the artists get 50%. If an art advisor comes in, that 50% comes off the gallery's side, not the artist side. If you're a very powerful artist, and I'm going to give you some of the famous names, Susan Rothenberg, everyone wanted her when the Willard Gallery closed. So she went with Speroni Westwater. I don't know if I don't know if this should be, all right, I'm saying it, but I don't know if we should cut this out if this goes on computer, but they made a deal with her for she got 60% and they only took 40%. Usually it's 50-50, but don't feel bad for the artist, because the artist doesn't mind if the artist doesn't know any collectors. If the gallery finds you the collectors, puts on the show, makes the catalog, gets you into museum shows, then it's worth it. You should also know that if you buy through a gallery, it's very hard to get a low price, because the gallery has to come up with X amount of money, because these gallery spaces, they have a staff of 10 people or 20 people. Before the work goes on the wall, they have to get a certain amount of money. So it's
last question that was asked in this room. and I want to give credit to the question that was asked by I think it's Rosalie, maybe. Why do these art pieces appear to be so close to the floor instead of at eye level? Can you tell us how these are?
Oh my God, I want to meet that person. Good question. So in galleries, they want you as the viewer to have your eye, if you're 5'5", that's the usual height they play with, that your eye goes to the middle. They don't want it at eye level because then you can't see the whole painting. That's an excellent question. Thank you for asking. I'll tell you another very funny story. One of my favorite living artists is Cecily Brown. And this is a true story. I love it, so I don't even mind that it's being taped. She showed at Gagosian Gallery, and Gagosian, some people like, some people don't like. She left Gagosian and went back to Paula Cooper. And Paula Cooper, people really admire. And her stuff sells for $1 million. And Paula and her had to decide how high off the floor it would go. And I love that Paula Cooper basically went along with what she wanted, and it's really lower than usual to the ground. It really depends how tall you think the viewer is. If the viewer is, Cecily Brown is not a tall woman, and I think that's why she wanted it lower, so people who are her height could see it better. But some people say you go from the middle and 6 feet down. I mean, they're all different concoctions, but this is quite low, and you're right. And I'm sure that was a decision that you feel like you're entering into the painting. Very good question. Now, take a look. Now you're looking at the other wall. Do you understand? I'm walking you around the gallery. Now, if that other one with the black and white had been where the orange and yellow one, it would have felt like it was wallpaper. Do you understand what I mean? So it's good that as you walk around the room, you go to the two with the white, then you go to this one, you go to this one, and you feel that the continuity, but it doesn't look like he had extra paint and he just used it. Also, pay attention to the way you see that big two red squares. Look at the red squares and the white squares, and also the fact that his mark making is with white. That is counterintuitive. You would think the mark making is with black. So I love these. There's not one show I'm showing you today that I don't like. Let's keep going. Now we're going to my favorite painting in the show. I love, and if anyone wants to buy me for my birthday, that orange, yellow, and black one, because there it reminds me of the Russian constructivist Malevich, but it has a whimsical sense of color. And if you look at that yellow with the dots, it also has a Matisse feel. I like when he plays visual games with you. Now, every artist is I've not met a serious living artist who's not knowledgeable of other artists. And what fascinates me is watching how the artist is talking to you as the viewer, but also talking to himself and their friends as artists. So when you do something like this, you begin to understand that in that one that is on the right, it feels like it's the most poetic and dancery of the pieces. Because you see here that the black and white are both being used as color. I'm sure you know this, but if you don't know it, I'm telling you anyway. Colors are Roy G. Biv, which are three primary colors: red, yellow, and blue. Secondary colors: green, orange, and purple. And black and white are value. They're not colors. And I love that he's using value in essence as a color. Let's go to the next.
Two quick questions that relate to this. The first is, when you're a buyer and you come in and you see art like you just showed us where the paintings relate to each other, don't you have to buy both paintings?
That's a great question. No, you're going to own your own gorgeous collection. And then if you're lucky enough to have a wife like Netza, she lets you put what you want next to what. She gives me a yes and a no, but you already know what's in your collection. And, this is an excellent question. So a lot of these pieces are sold. And right now, if you're a very serious artist, they're looking for good collectors. And good collectors is who else do the collectors own? So today I was giving a lecture, and there's an art fair today, and one of the people in my group was going to the meeting afterwards, and she wore a Prada bag. She was wearing a gorgeous scarf, and she goes, I know they're going to look at me up and down to see if they can let me buy what I want to buy. So when an artist is very important and hot, the gallery is looking to place the work in a good collection. And what does a good collection mean is who else they collect, and that they're not going to flip the work. I will not sell to collectors that I know are interested in my work because they want to buy it and sell it in 5 years. And most serious artists want collectors who love their work and care about what they do. That's a very good. There are certain galleries that everyone knows are flip galleries. And what are flip galleries? You buy the work, you keep it for 5 years, and then you flip it and you make more money or you lose money. But I won't take you to shows like that. I'm not interested in that. Let's go to the next. And there you see it alone. I love it alone. I don't think it needs anything else next to it. Let's go to the next. Now you begin, that's the other room. And now you see how playful these are. And these make me think of Matisse, and these make me think of so many other things. And now it looks more like a story. And you see in this one of them is really close to the floor because it's huge. And your eye view will be somewhere in the middle. Let's go to the next. Now we're going to get to the paper pieces, I think. There you go. Again, I want to go quick because I'm nervous. I'm watching my clock. So now you'll see each one individually. And this looks very much like a storybook. You can see the flower. You can see the bird. You can see the house. You know, if I had a lot of time with you, when I go with my people, I stay in each room for 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes. Now you see it again all the way around. And that's the installation shots. Now, Ari's going to press on selected work on the top. Selected work on the top. It says selected work. There you go. So now we're going to go through those very quickly. And there, wait, that's very good. You did a great job. Underneath it says, and this is all new through COVID. This never used to happen. Shows you the size, the oil on canvas. You see some of them are framed, some are not framed. And you get to see how the work will look alone. Now, why do you have the other? Because you want to see how it looks in relationship to each other, but then you want to look at the one that you're interested in. Also, notice, very important, and I'm going to ask you to use your hand and go to the top right corner, and you see the top right corner of the painting right there, and look at the side of the frame. And there you can see that white wouldn't be there if he painted it on the canvas. That's because he painted it on the floor. Do you all see what I mean? And that's a giveaway that it was not painted on the way it is. And the frame is put there, I'm sure, I bet you money on it, because part of the sides don't look as interesting. Do you know what I mean? And when you wrap it around, you'll see, things that he doesn't want you to see. So sometimes they're framed, sometimes they're not. And that's the choice of the artist and the gallery. Let's go to the next. We're going to go through these very quickly. Otherwise, all we were going to do is one show. Keep going. Keep going. I love that painting. Oh my God. Go back one, because I have to give it a little credit. See how great that looks without a frame? That is
how much is this painting, do you think?
I don't remember. And you know what? That's the only thing I don't like doing, because otherwise everyone's going to talk about how much things are. So quite a few things I do know what they cost, but I don't want to do that, because then the conversation is it really worth $500,000? It's worth whatever you want to spend.
Related quick question. Can you negotiate with the gallery people, or is it
it depends? It depends who you collect, depends who you come with, and depending on how hot the artist is. There are many galleries, I'm sorry to say, that won't sell to most people because they have a waiting list.
Are these, when you go into a gallery like this, are many of the much of the art pre-sold already, or is it?
Yes. Yeah, it depends who it is. Joe is right now hot. I mean, he's a hot artist. He had a show at one of the best museums in the country, the Albright-Knox. It's a great museum. I have to say, right after I showed there, tons more people knew my work. It's a great museum. Let's keep going, because I want you to see the drawings. See how beautiful these are. Gorgeous. I love these. I don't know if you like them, and I'm not upset with you if you don't like them. Don't feel bad. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Now, this is where I want to stop again. Now you're going to say to me, Toby, I don't get it. These look nothing like his paintings. And I'm going to say to you, not every artist wants the drawings and the paintings to be the same. If you look at a Matisse drawing, they look nothing like his painting. And I get a kick out of these. And here you see how much he loves Guston and how much he loves other figurative painters. Let's go to the next one. I'll show you which one I love. This one. That is so Philip Guston-y. I mean, anyone in the class who knows Philip Guston, this is like a tribute to Philip Guston. I see, Bob, you put on your glasses. Doesn't that look so much like a Guston-y type piece? He draws really well, and you can tell he loves cartoons. I love that nose on the top. Let's go to the next one. And that to me is so much like he loves cartoons. He loves television. Let's go to the next. And go to the next. I just think that is the funniest one ever. I would never buy it, but it's like he must love television. You know, and you see the guy's eyes right above. And I think that's the last one. Oh no, there's another. Let's finish up if there are any others. Yeah, that's great too. Oh my God, that is so great. I forgot that one. I mean, he's funny. He's got a great sense of humor. That's another beautiful one. So he's playful. Go back one, that last one looked more like his paintings. You can already, and I like that they do that. You can see how he maps out what he's going to do. And you're allowed to not like anything. So don't feel bad. If you don't like any of the shows I showed at the end, then you'll tell me. Let's keep going. And I love that struggle. That's so funny. He's a funny artist. So this is in the side room. I'd love to hear all your responses. I wish we had the time. Great sense of humor. All right, now we'll go back to the next show. Hope you enjoyed that. I know I spent a little too much time. I apologize. Did you guys enjoy it? Just give me a finger up, yes or no? Oh, good. Wow. I want to go to the other pages. I want to see if they liked it. Oh, I can't see people's faces. Okay, back to the first page. All right, so let's go to the next show.
So I'm going to put the video on first, right?
Yes, always videos first. So I only started the videos through because of COVID. Now I like it. Oh, you wish they weren't called Untitled. A lot of artists don't like titling their work. All right, we're going to the next. Oh, wow. All right. Are we getting to it, Ari? She is, I know her, and her studio is right near my class at SVA, at Pratt. You have to put it on share mic, share speaker.
Sorry, let's try it again.
Share speaker on the bottom.
Yeah, I did. It's just we'll try it again. Okay, let's try it again.
I think the thing that's interesting to me is that they seem like they're really trying to defend themselves.
Is that working?
Against the outer world, but they're also, the world is sort of closing in on them, or they feel constrained, but it's also protective.
Yeah, they're locked in, but they look ferocious. They look like they're going to attack you, but they're really helpless. And the fact that I wanted to be head, not head with arms and fists, not head, legs and knees and feet, and not karate bodies, but just head, because I felt that I was stuck at that time. My whole life was in my head. And basically, I realized that the most dangerous thing about any of us and the most sexy thing about any of us are our heads. There's going to be, it doesn't originate with genitalia. It doesn't originate with, it originates in your head. You fall in love in your head, you know. I know that hormones have a lot to do with a lot of things that sound like love, but you know, the real infatuations have to do with your mind.
Is that not
What's
brilliant?
interesting to me is
She is, she's somebody I'm proud to know. I met her when I was in graduate school, and she has a show up now. And before we go to the show, I want to say something important. She is a woman artist. Now, all of you who are women in the audience, I feel terrible. I wasn't alive at the time, but early on in the art world, artists who were women did not nearly have the right respect that they should have. In the last 10 or 15 years, you see a lot of women artists. The only problem is they don't do as well at auction. And in fact, I advise certain people that only buy women artists now, and I don't think that's wrong. But she was somebody that was brilliant forever. And when you look at her work, you'll see it's fascinating. So this is a show at Michael Rosenfeld Gallery. Michael Rosenfeld, I know, by the way, Michael Rosenfeld's father was a private art dealer, and Michael Rosenfeld was very smart. In fact, he bought a piece of mine when he was still very young and before my career was anywhere. And he finds artists that he thinks are undervalued and then buys them a lot. He's been buying her work forever. And now she's getting a beautiful resurgence of interest. So let's go to see the show. And these are works from the 60s and 70s. And now they're being shown now and they look brand new. So this is Nancy Grossman, and it's called My Body, and it's on, as you can see, for 6 weeks. It ends at the end of May. And this piece was done in 1961. Now you're going to say to me, Toby, this looks so much like de Kooning. And I'll say, yes, but de Kooning did this in the late 60s. She did this in 1961, pastel and watercolors. But nobody was thinking about, what is Nancy Grossman doing? She was not a major player, and I'm sorry, I couldn't have done anything about it, but because she was a woman, she did not have the same credibility. I know it's hard to believe now, but it is a fact. So so you can see her use of material. By the way, using pastel and watercolor is not a typical thing to do. And I think she's just brilliant. That's very different than the rest of the show. Let's go to the next one. There are 38 pieces. Again, not typical. This is pastel on paper. Ari, don't get mad at me. Go back one because I want them to see how different it looks when there's watercolor and pastel together. I'm being an art educator right now, not a gallery tour leader, but that's one of the reasons people take my class, because I try and look at it as an artist too. Let's go to the next, and then the next again. And now you're going to see, wow, like, oh my God, that's pastel, graphite, and charcoal. Now, what is the difference between charcoal and graphite? Graphite is what comes out in a pencil. Charcoal is much more fragile. And if you look at it with the pastel, she's using the color of the paper as a base color. These are all in the early 60s. Unbelievably powerful. Let's go to the next. Now, this one is like, I don't even know what to say. I love it so much. It's called Medusa, and it's oil on canvas. Now, some of you might say, wow, this reminds me of Soutine. And I'd say, I'm so happy you came to the class last week, because she uses red in a very gory sense. Do you remember any of you came to that lecture I gave on Sunday and I talked about Soutine? No question she was looking at Soutine, the Medusa, and she's a woman doing a Medusa, which I think is fascinating. Let's go to the next. Very lyrical. And if you look at these, there's so many contemporary artists. I think that's why I think this is going to get a rave review in the Times. It hasn't gotten one yet. And one of the things I like doing in New York is I like beating the New York Times. I like going to a show before the Times reviews it. I think this is going to get a great review.
Hey, Toby, did you say why they're all dated in the 60s and they're just being shown now?
I thought I said it, but I will say it again. She's getting a real following now, and the gallery was smart enough to show some of her early works, because for 30 years, and they say it in the press release, no one was interested in Nancy Grossman. And this gallery is specializing in finding artists who are undervalued. If I didn't say it, I'm saying it now again. And if I did say it, I'm sorry, I repeat myself. But yes, that's typical of this gallery. They're looking for shows that they can bring to the attention of the audience. And obviously, if you had bought these Nancy Grossmans 10 years ago, there's a zero missing, and now there's a zero there. So now they're selling for way more money. Let's go to the next. Now look at her draftsmanship, like, oh my God. She draws like a dream. I mean, she is such a gifted draftsperson. So these are still in the 60s. We're going to see some of the work from the 80s. Let's keep going. And the gallery, we're showing it like this. The gallery packs the paintings in and packs the drawings. Every wall, every crevice is covered with works. That's going, this is a male figure. And some people, and that's a self-portrait. So that's what she looks like. She's not a tall woman. And the work looks much more aggressive. Let's go to the next one. So this is why she's very successful now. And yes, do I think that some people who like S&M find her work interesting? No question about it. I think people are shocked these were painted by a woman. And I love what she says, that she's not as interested in the body. She's more interested in the face and the head. And these masks that she then makes in leather become very famous, and they're in a lot of museum collections. Let's go to the next. So this was done in 68. You look at it, it feels very Shoah-like. It feels very much like Abu Ghraib. I mean, it looks very disturbing. These are early on. These are lithographs, and that is what her interest is. And that's maybe why in those early years she wasn't so popular, because they're not easy to look at. Let's go to the next. And now you start seeing a lot of bondage. And this is a woman doing men in bondage, but she said she was going through a rough time, and that's what the work is about. Let's keep going. And keep going. We're going through them quickly because there are 38 images in there, but you can see her draftsmanship is brilliant. I mean, brilliant. Now that is where she's very famous, and these are in major museum collections. Now, students have said to me many times, are you sure she's not a gay man? And I said, no, I met her. She's definitely a woman, but they feel like they're very S&M images, but she says it's not about that. It's about the torment. Let's go to the next one. So when I look at these, I feel like these are like prisoners of war. But she says the work is about a psychological way of looking at the world, that your mind is telling you that you're bound up. It's not your body. Now, I find it fascinating that 90% of them is a woman doing it of men, which I think is so interesting in itself, because very often you would see men doing this of women and it would become much more sexualized. I'm dying I wish I could hear all of your voices. So if anyone has anything interesting to say, please put it in the chat. I hope you realize that she's a brilliant artist. And again, as you said, Ari, in the 70s and 60s, women artists doing this were not getting the attention. Now they are. Let's keep going. Very angry, very disturbing. Keep going. I want to get through them all quickly. That is the most difficult one to look at. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. We're going to go through these quickly. Oh, and then she does a whole thing with guns. And Shireen Nishat, I'm going to try and get you a show of hers. She does that. Robert Motherwell does that with guns. But remember, this is in 73. I mean, she was way ahead of herself, talking about gun violence, and somebody's looking through a way to look through their eye to see who they're shooting from a distance. Very, very different. Let's keep going. Now, I hope you're not mad at me for showing you this. I think she's a genius. So if you are annoyed at me, write in the chat why. Think about somebody by the name of Leon Golub. I don't know if you know him. I wanted to put him in. Oh, I did put him in my list for the Jewish artists. I think he's one of the most important Jewish artists. He did a lot of things about the Holocaust, but these are in the 70s, and these are collage and watercolor on board. By the way, these are selling for a fortune now, and I think 10 years ago, no one was talking about her. Keep going. Isn't that beautiful, that gold leaf in the background? Keep going. Keep going, keep going. We're going to finish it quickly because I have too many shows. Again, see how well she draws. And this she redoes in 81. You'll see some of them say 75, 81. She redoes them. And a lot of these are in the collection of Michael Rosenfeld Gallery. That is also a very famous sculpture she did in 1991. And that's 81. That is
not that you need my personal thing, but these aren't things I would hang up in my house. But they would be great to see at a museum.
So you should know they are now being bought by museums. I think most of you, I put it in as the second one because I want to show every week that not every artist is interested in collectors buying work. And when I take tours, and thank you for saying that, it's about seeing the most important shows that are up now, not necessarily what you'd want to buy. Let's keep going. And there's something disturbing. There's, you'll see it. So if you got too disturbed, I apologize, but I hope you went along with me. The next show won't be that disturbing. This is the only one like that today. So this zipper one is from 88. And these are really, so let me get to the whole group now for I show the last one. I'm dying to hear what you guys think. You can give me fingers up and down. This is 2013. So this is what she's drawing now. That's the last piece in the show. So I want to go like this or go like this. How many of you found her interesting? How many of you found her too depressing and you can't look at it? 1, 2, 3. Wow. All right. Do you understand that she's an important artist?
People are saying, yes, they obviously can tell she's very talented, but this is so disturbing and something maybe some people didn't want to see or don't want to see. It certainly wouldn't want to hang in their house.
I don't mind if you don't want to hang it. Are you upset that I showed it to you? I want to know the truth because this is how I learn.
Bimya likes it. Marla says it reminds her of Francis Bacon, which
yes. Oh, who said that? Wait a minute. Who said that?
Marla Friedman.
Marla Friedman, I love you. My mistake when I took the tour last week I brought in Francis. Very good. And the joke is he sells for like 27 million. So I just, do you all understand that it was hard that she was a woman? I just want you to understand that I'm a man and I'm still a man, but I do mind that there are many communities that did not take women artists seriously. And Ari, that is why I showed it. I mean, I don't think it's fair that women artists didn't get the same due that men did. It's just wrong.
And a comment, we are going through these very quickly and some people can't see them as well on their screen. I'm going to share all the links so you can then spend your time and you can blow it up on your screen and so on. Here's a question to you. Did you know of her way back? Yes.
So I'll tell you what happened. I went to Pratt Institute. I always tease this. I was what's called, a Baal Tshuva means somebody who becomes religious. I did not grow up in the art world. I had an amazing mother who let me take art classes, but I went to yeshiva. I did Ikebana flower arranging at the Met when I was a little boy with my grandmother. But when I went to Pratt, one of my teachers knew her. Her studio was 3 blocks walk from Pratt. And on a Friday, like we do Friday conversations, it's so funny we're doing that. I just remembered when I was in art school, Friday afternoons, if you wanted, our teachers would take it to artists in the neighborhood. And she was one of the artists that I met in 1976. And I was blown away by her because, first of all, she's tiny. And I looked at the work and remember, no one was doing this work. I mean, and if it was a guy and a macho guy. There's this very tiny Jewish woman doing these very aggressive pieces. And I was blown away by it. I couldn't always look at it, but I was always blown away by her gift. And I think she's a genius and I'm honored to have shown it to her. Let's go to the next.
Before we go there, you know how people say that they wish they had bought property before property values went up? Do you feel that when you see an artist, whether they're in the beginning of their career, do you feel comfortable that you can pick and that artist is going to be well-known, well-respected, a major artist one day? Or is it random in a certain sense? You may like someone, they just never make it big. Or do you kind of feel you personally have a sense of who's going to make it big?
So I will tell you that I think I have a stupendous track record, but I will also tell you, Tobi Kahn, who's not a very wealthy guy, have bought artists that I think are brilliant and they've gone nowhere. And the reason they haven't gone anywhere, Jonathan Ellis, I'll name you 10 of them. Catherine Porter, I can name you tons of great artists. I bought Lois Lane. I bought all these great artists, and they just either they decided not to continue making art, or they moved to Tibet, or they married somebody very rich and stopped doing it, or they just never were lucky. So do I think I can pick a great artist? Yes. Can I pick an artist who's going to go up in value? No. I think that's, being a great artist has so many reasons for being a great artist. The most important thing is continuing to make art. There's so many great artists that stop making art because they just can't deal with all the crap that you get, meaning like, I like this. Can you do it in green? Or do you like this? I don't know if I like that. There are so many things. I'm so happy. There's an artist who I love. We're going to see her, Carmen Herrera. I don't know if any of you know her. I talked about her yesterday in the Artist Beta Midrash because somebody was from Cuba. She made it when she was 90 years old. Her husband was a Jewish art teacher, a Jewish math or science teacher at Stuyvesant, and he supported her. And then she lived to be 105. And thank God for the last 15 years of her life, she was lauded as one of the greatest artists. Her work looks a little bit like Ellsworth Kelly. And in fact, we're going to see the Kelly show and the Harmon Herrera show together in 3 weeks. He was a guy. She was a woman. She was in Paris the same time as him. So it took her another 60 years until people looked at her work. So there are many, many, many different things. You should buy art with your heart, not with your think about money. If you ask Tobi Kahn what to do, don't think about resale. Think about what you love. And the joy that you have for all that time is what you should do. But I always tell people, have a magic number. I don't want to spend more than that. A thing I always tell people, you buy a car. You come out of the lot, it's worth half the amount of money or a third less. My grandfather always said that. I lease a car for that reason, because I don't care that much. So I don't believe art should be bought as an investment. If you're lucky and it goes up in value, yay you. But you're buying it for the enjoyment of looking at the art. I saw that question. All right, let's
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to our third stop on the tour.
Yeah.
Let me make sure it works. Hold on.
And people that raise their hand, don't raise your hand because I can't see it. Just put the question in the thing. All right, let's go. I love the show. Here we go. Great show.
Okay, hold on.
This is not the show of his we're seeing. I just want you to see what he does.
I know what I want to do, and if it sort of attaches itself to certain areas of the culture, that works out great for me. If I want to take a little bit here, a little bit there, that's my priority. That's my inspiration. I'm just trying to do the best painting of the individuals that have piqued my curiosity and made me want to paint them. When I was in London, I went to the National Gallery and there were students doing copies from masters. This is in 1966. And I saw a painting that kind of rocked me and I wanted to do a copy. So I went out to get supplies and something hit me. It was like a bolt of lightning. And it said, you can't copy somebody else. That was a significant moment in my life that if I was going to be involved in art, it would have to be from me. I'm trying to make a statement on my own with a degree of history and the materials and techniques. When I first started painting, most of those paintings were people that posed for me. When I was at Yale, I was assistant teaching and Jules was a part of the class. Jules was a beautiful, skinny dude. I guess he's about 6'6", 6'7". I asked what he said for me, and he said, yeah. Neither he nor I cared about nudity, and he was hip to work with me there. My camera I call my mechanical sketchbook. It allows me to get information, and I'm fast, but I'm not as fast as the camera. Sherry used to work around the corner and walk past my studio, and I asked, could I photograph her for a painting? So I decided to do a mirror image of sorts. Then I added little touches like the toenail polish. Photo Bloke was a man that I photographed, Bread Street in London. There are other situations where I've photographed people in Africa, France, wherever I've traveled. Colors are part of my creative arsenal. There's also a color choice because certain statements are made more powerful. I like fashion. As I have scanned my body of work, there is that timelessness that could be labeled part of the fashion statement that I'm involved with. I had a girlfriend from Slough who used to call me Brown Sugar. And I did a self-portrait called Brown Sugar Vine because a vine is like, man, that brother's wearing a nice vine. But this is nude, so Brown Sugar Vine became the title. I've been painting for 40 years. The very fact that, I'm doing black people, you got people who are thinking, it's political. I get all kinds of different thoughts about what my painting's about, and many of them don't relate to the areas of inspiration. There should be a degree of mystery. What can I tell you, You know enough. I want it to be what I call memorable. I don't want it to go poof. You go into certain galleries, there are a lot of other artists there, but I'm damn sure I want you to remember mine.
So that was done at the Tate, and the show we're seeing now is a show that of his basketball pieces. Now, how many of you knew who he was? Anybody? Wow. All right. So he's a very important artist. He was a very good friend of one of my best friends. Oh, Leonardo knew him, but he was very close with Jack Whitten, who was Leonardo's teacher. So you remember, and now Black artists are having their time, which is great. So let's look at the show he's up now. You would never believe when you saw this, that this is the show. I like this equally. You're going to say to me, these are so different. And I'm going to say, no, they're not. So you'll tell me why they're not. So these were his famous basketball images. And I want to see one of them go around the gallery. This is a great gallery. And do I think he influenced Jeff Koons? Definitely, with his basketball image. Look at that. That's one of my favorite pieces in the show. That basketball about to enter the hoop. So these are all paintings. So to make a living, he worked at a educational, what is it called again? After school program for sports. And you'll see some of the photographs of the basketball players. Look at that one. I love that green one. It's a gold leaf on the top. And it's like, anyone remember the Jeff Koons pieces that he put into the fish tank or floating? I think he must have seen his work. I don't know if you like them. I find them so enchanting. And yes, would I buy one of these? If I had a big house, yes. And I'd put it, look at these basketball hoops. I mean, I think they say so much about the dream of what can happen to you if you're a great sports figure. And does he know how to draw? Oh my God, he draws like a dream. There they are. I wish I could get close. So this is where he worked. And these were kids playing basketball. And that was the inspiration. You remember he said, my camera, that was so important to me. My camera is my drawing tool. So that is what he did. That's him taking pictures of the basketball hoops. And all right, now let's get back to all of you as a group. I'm dying to hear what you think. Oh, wait, all right. we didn't do that because we have so much to do. What did you guys think of him? I need like 5 responses. I just want to hear what you think.
Heidi Meyer says Brandeis Rose Museum is featuring his work in their retrospective show, where they take
You
an
are correct.
underrepresented ethnic and a minority and pair it with a classic, and many other ways that they're featuring such artists.
So you should know, I love the Rose. They own a lot of my work too. The curator at the Rose was a genius, and he bought great, great, great art.
Getting very positive. Sheila loves him. Phyllis, terrific. Debbie Pollock, very talented. I mean, I actually liked the other work you showed, that they showed in the video, because that was really, very impressive. His
All right,
skill. So this is different, whole different type of art that we're seeing here versus what we saw before.
Ari, I want you to come to all my classes because I love your truthful honesty. So let me explain something to you, because now I consider you and me friends. And boy, am I happy that you're facilitating this, because you're going to learn a ton about art. So let me say something very clearly right away. Are you ready? Ari, this is for you, but everyone else can listen. It's so important that everyone understands that what an artist picks to paint, his skill is just as strong painting basketballs as it is skin color of any human being. And the nail polish. What I love about him is, and I know what you think, and it was very funny, the class that I took around said the similar things to you. They said, oh my God, can't we see that? And I'm saying, no, because what he's saying about a basketball is just as important as what he's saying about the skin of a person. And what I love is, I have a son who loves burgers and shawarmas the way I do. We love them. My son-in-law is vegetarian, and he can tell you every vegetarian burger that is made to taste even better. If you understood basketball the way he understood basketball, every nuance of the ball is as nuanced as the way he paints hair on a figure. So I hear what you're saying. It's more in quotes interesting to see the bodies, but anyone want to tell me which very famous, I'm making believe I'm an SVA, which very famous artist, I'm going to give it away, but one of you are going to guess it, who painted Michelle Obama, obviously looked at his work. Anyone know who that is? You know who painted Michelle Obama? Anyone want to say?
I'm waiting for people to chime in. But a lot of people agreed with me in a certain way, just so you know.
By the way, Ari, you and 99% of the world. I don't disagree with you, but I cared about showing the basketballs because that's much more subtle. By the way, you're not. I love you. I think you're right.
It's not that the basketball art isn't interesting. It's that
you're not getting into the conversation as much.
Right. The other things were just. Yeah, I know you hate this, but like, it's the printing of the basketball. It's very flat. It looks like, I think if someone who was a great printer could do it, they could probably copy that, but they're not going to be able to copy what he did and the other stuff. Whatever.
So I want to say to you, if you go into the gallery, I promise you, Scout's honor, the basketball looks so three-dimensional. I don't know if you notice on the back of the pieces, he cuts out part that the basketball.
We can't see that. Part of the problem is you cannot appreciate without being in the gallery. So that Rafaela Sachs says, is it Kahinda Wiley or Kahinda?
Kahinda Wiley did Mr. President Obama. Okay. This is the woman who did Michelle Obama.
No answers yet. You have stumped this very smart group.
I'm going to wait because, and if you don't know her, by the end of today, you should know her. Let's go to the next. You can think about it, and then if at the end of the day, no one tells me, I'll state, but she's one of the most important living young artists, and she's also Black, and Michelle Obama picked her, and when she spoke, very funny when they said, did this happen overnight? And she goes, I've been making art for 30 years, but great artist. All right, let's go to the next artist.
This may be a strange question again. So
yes,
let me ask.
You can ask anything you want.
Do you think that women are better at painting women and men are better at painting men and people of color are better at painting the group they come from? Or our artists can do anything, so it doesn't matter what their gender is, what their orientation is, and people can paint the best in some other group they don't belong to. So
you answered the question yourself at the end. because what you said at the end is what you're attracted to. So I don't think men can do men better, women can do women better. But if you love the person you're painting, it comes across. And if you ever want to think about a perfect example of it, think of, and this is my present to all of you, take a look after this class, look at the photographs Stiglitz did of O'Keeffe when he was in love with her. Oh, I'm so happy you're shaking your face that you know it. Marion, you know what I'm talking about. So you can see there's an example of a man who loves a woman, then hates a woman. And boy, oh boy, you look at those photographs, you know what he thought of her when he was madly in love with her and when he hated her. I only can do them as a perfect example because there is a guy who photographs a woman who he loves and then hates. So I think if you're a gay man doing gay, if you're a gay man looking at men, it doesn't matter if the men are gay. Amy, Cheryl, thank you. I love you so much. I was waiting. If you don't know Amy Cheryl, Google her. She's a great, great, great artist. But I want to go back to this. I can tell you very often, you're going to laugh. I can tell you when you look at something, if the artist is attracted to the person or not. There are artists who are bisexual too, so it doesn't matter. But I think women painting women. Oh, I love Amy Cutler, a fantastic. She does beautiful pencil drawings and watercolors and gouache. She paints women so beautifully. She paints women as a woman painting women. There are many, many artists, not about gay or straight. I think it's a different understanding. Gadi Amar, an Egyptian artist who I love, does really interesting pieces. One of my favorite pieces, it's very hard to find on the internet. His name is Alfred Leslie. I showed with him when I was very young. He was obsessed with his pregnant wife. And he was an abstract painter, and he did 6 or 8 gorgeous paintings, like 10 feet tall, of pregnant women. You knew that guy was madly in love with this pregnant woman because his wife was a pregnant woman, and he was so intrigued about the fact that she was going to have their baby. So, you know what I mean? Like, I think that is important. How does the artist feel like when the artist is doing the image?
Thank you. Okay, back to our
Good.
regularly
Yes.
scheduled program. We're going to go to the art house. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so let me get that going. Hold on. Can you see that?
Yes, you did great. Yep.
I thought quite a lot about when I first started being interested in making things, and it was when I was quite young. I remember at school, we in the infants, one of the projects we made was making a Christmas tree, and I remember we had to collect cotton reels, and then we stuck a bit of a Christmas tree in it. And I was just really excited by the idea that you could make something so simply. And then later on realizing that I was been influenced quite a lot by my mother, who sews, and that the first blanket we had was a patchwork blanket that my mum made of our old dresses. Mum used to make really wonderful hats for us to go to church, and I don't remember being interested in church, but I remember being really excited about dressing up in these clothes my mother made. So I think those were early sorts of interests. So I'm interested in sort of cultural dynamics in a wider psychological context, and place and migration. In terms of my parents coming from the Caribbean and a history of generational migration, and seeing how people move from continent to continent, and the kind of interactions in the respective culture, place where people move to, And then, for instance, in the food, for instance, so one of the projects I want to work on is food, because people want to have the food that they're accustomed to. So that the vegetable is a way of talking metaphorically about some of these kinds of bigger, wider associations and cultural meaning. But also I quite like the stacks of cushions, the different kinds of cushions that fruit and vegetables are stacked in. That kind of, the shape, they're all a bit like egg boxes. So the receptacles, I like those. And stacking is how to make sense of one's reality in terms of the environment one's in. I mean, for instance, just a sense of politics in America is different to how I grew up with a sense of the cultural identification in England, although there are similarities and overlaps. So stacking and ordering is a way to establish a kind of order. First of all, it's really nice to have an opportunity to make work, more new work. And
no, keep going. I want 2 more minutes and then we'll stop. 2 more minutes.
And it's nice to have an opportunity in the country, because I'm back and forth quite a lot. And it's quite important for me to get to know, have a sense of where I'm working, the context. I don't like the idea of just going somewhere and doing a residency that has no kind of connection with the place I'm working in. The fact that I've been an artist all my adult life, and I have done quite a lot of residencies, I have a sense that it would at least be an experience that sort of challenges some of my perceptions about residencies and what they could mean.
Veronica's making a number of new pieces for the residency exhibition here at the Art House, and one of those pieces will be the co-commission for the Hepworth. She's working on lots of different elements in collaboration with Eleanor, the curator at the Hepworth, to really identify which piece will live there in the Masterpieces gallery. Veronica has been using a number of different materials to create the sculptures. One of the things she's doing is casting fruit cushions and making casts of traditional fruit and vegetables from the Caribbean islands, such as Montserrat. And so she's making really interesting new shapes with some of the fruit and also with the cushions.
So that's the Hepworth Museum. That's the Hepworth Museum. That's where I want to stop. Now we're going to go to the show. That's where I want to stop. You should see the video later if you want, but I'm watching my time. So why did I pick this show? First of all, I think she's a great artist. I've known her work forever. I studied, when I went to Hunter, I studied ceramics, pottery, weaving. I studied with Gail Woomer. She's in that world of soft sculpture. What I wanted you to see is the Hepworth Museum. I don't know if you know Barbara Hepworth, one of the most important English artists. And I wanted you to see a living artist who's doing art in relationship to a dead artist. But I love what she talked about, doing something in a residency. Do you understand? She was a guest artist. She came, you saw all the young artists around her. I've done projects like that where you're coming as a well-known or well-established artist, and you work with younger artists, not always chronologically younger, but less accomplished. And when I come out to California, I haven't told this to Ari yet, I want to work with everyone to do an earthwork. I want to spend a half a day with anyone who wants to. We're going to go into a field and think about people like Andy Goldsworthy, and I will be your guide. We're going to find a place to not ruin anything, but we're going to make a piece of art in a space, and we're then going to photograph it with all the photographers there and talk about what does it mean to create a piece of art together with a guide who's an artist. Now, that residency was a little different because she is making the art and they're all being her assistants. Like, who does that remind you of? Very good if you say Christo, because Christo did things like that. Or you think about somebody like Sala Witt, who comes up with the drawings and then the whole staff helps him do everything else. All right, did I lose anybody yet? I'm losing a few people, but all right. Are you still enjoying, I hope? All right, let's keep going.
We're doing well.
Good.
Okay, so we're going to share this thing right here.
So this is the show that's on right now. And I wanted to show you somebody, Paula Cooper, one of the most important living, and these are pieces of work that she did. And I wanted you to see the video talking about her mother and talking about how she learned how to do that. And she then tie-dyes, you see on that piece going from the ceiling, she tie-dyes material, and there you see the string. Keep going. You'll go around the room. I love these. They're very physical. And she uses packing materials. She makes different fake vegetables, and then she puts it on a rug. Let's keep going. Go to the next. And yes, does it remind me of Louise Bourgeois? Very much. It's very much about physicality and about sewing and about interplay, and how she makes how they sit on the ground or sit in the world is very interesting and different. So that's the installation. I think you can see individual shots. Go down a little further. Go down, I think. There they are. So here you can see, and this is all because of COVID. Now you see how they look as individual pieces. Now I keep going. They're just, I love the work. I don't know if you do. I love the work. I love that one all the way on there on the yellow. I like how she makes different types of stands. They're just, I find them so beautiful. Look at that one, the middle one on the right there, multiple conversations. And she sews in there, and go further down. I'll show you one that I think is so interesting. Keep going. Oh, that last one, you see that one in the blue and in the, look at how different they look in the bundles in the blue and the orange. Anyway, let's go to the next. I just want you to see how different, these are all different galleries. These are among the most powerful galleries in America, and how different work they show. All right, let's go. Anybody, how many of you liked her? I'm just curious, up or down or medium? Wow, a lot of ups. I'm so happy. Does anyone not like it, and tell me why they don't like it? I'd love to know. Don't say it's too easy, because I'm telling you it's not so easy.
I'm waiting for people's input.
So I know that some people criticize it, that she looks too much like Kraft. I don't agree with it, but that's a criticism I heard. All right, let's go to the next show. I'm watching my time, being very careful.
We're going to Sandra. Is it Cinto now, or are we staying with Veronica?
No, we're going to, no, that was the end of her.
Okay, so we're going to the next one. Okay,
yeah.
Hold on.
I hope you see that I'm trying to show you very different exhibitions, but all very physically, the artist is very involved.
Hold on.
And that's part of the fun of making a program, that you don't feel like I'm seeing every show is the exact same. I want to keep people jumping and thinking and seeing living artists and dead artists and all different types.
Okay, Toby, can you see this?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Os meus desenhos são sempre paisagens, mares turbulentos, céus estrelados, montanhas, abismos. Esse meu desejo de paisagem tem a ver com a falta de paisagem da cidade onde eu vivo.
Look at the pen she's using.
É uma cidade extremamente urbana. A falta dessa paisagem provoca em mim o desejo da construção de uma paisagem gráfica. E ao longo dos anos eu desenvolvi um repertório gráfico. Nuvens, estrelas, ondas, rios, cachoeiras, pedras, penhascos. São sempre paisagens vazias da figura humana, né? A figura humana no meu trabalho, ela é o próprio observador, assim, né? Eu sempre penso o trabalho instalado numa arquitetura e penso muito como o observador vai fruir, vai aprender esse trabalho, né? Quando a gente está diante de uma grande paisagem, assim, diante da imensidão do mar, ou quando a gente está diante de um céu estrelado e infinito, né? A gente percebe o quanto somos pequenos diante da grandeza do universo, né? Acho que um dado também importante no meu trabalho é o tempo, porque é um desenho extremamente minucioso, processo quase meditativo, que eu trabalho com canetas de várias espessuras, mas na maioria das vezes são canetas com a ponta muito fininha. E quando eu trabalho diretamente nas paredes, esse processo também é muito significativo. Ultimamente eu tenho trabalhado com a ajuda de voluntários ou assistentes, e aí nós passamos 8, 10 horas por dia trabalhando nessa superfície, nessa parede. É um trabalho muito silencioso, eu desenho as linhas principais, à mão livre, e eu percebo que é um momento assim que eu me desligo também do entorno, meio que entro numa bolha assim e tchau mundo, assim, agora a gente está construindo aqui esse universo gráfico e isso é o mais importante.
Look at that bed. Look at that
Eu
little
percebo que o
bed.
processo é tão importante quanto o trabalho final, né? E além do desenho sobre tela e sobre parede, sobre objetos tridimensionais, ao longo desses últimos anos eu tenho desenvolvido também obras públicas e tenho trabalhado com materiais tradicionais, como azulejo, mosaico. Agora eu estou começando a trabalhar com mosaico português. E eu me dei conta que são também técnicas tradicionais, onde o fazer e o tempo são muito significativos. A exposição que eu vou apresentar na Casa Triângulo chama-se Noturno. E eu escolhi esse nome porque o noturno, na música, ele é uma forma de composição mais intimista e contemplativa. Então a minha exposição, ela é uma exposição que tem esse desejo de ser uma exposição quieta e que eu faço uma reflexão sobre os últimos 21 anos de minha trajetória. Eu revisito toda a minha trajetória. Então, por exemplo, os lustres. A primeira instalação que eu fiz em 97, desenhei uma sala, uma pequena sala, e havia muitos lustres, né? Então eu retomo as pontes, que para mim são eu retomo os balanços, que são brinquedos que remetem ao prazer, a um estado de suspensão, de leveza, ao desejo do voo. Eu retomo também os abismos. Tenho pensado muito nessa questão, né, da asa e do abismo, né? E os mares, mas de uma maneira mais sutil. Os mares nessa exposição não são tão revoltos, mas ele está presente ali, a água nesse estado de constante movimento, e os céus estrelados, essas paisagens abertas, elas carregam em si um desejo de liberdade, um desejo de voo, uma esperança na luz, que na transformação. E se de um lado da galeria...
So I wanted to go to her because she is a quintessential beautiful draftsperson, but I wanted you to see in the video that she has assistants, and I wanted you to see how she maps it out. Like some of you said to me, but Saul LeWitt doesn't do any of his own work, and I said to you, that's not what it's about. So I wanted you to see an artist who has assistants, but she does all the planning. Did you notice that she started doing some drawing and the two assistants were watching her? You can't do such huge installations if you don't have help. So Van Dyck, historically, there are many artists that do it. And I think that's important to see. Now we're going to go to the exhibition. The exhibition is up right now. It's a beautiful show. So the background of the paintings, these are the smaller works. These are on the second floor of the gallery. And now we're going to go down to the ground floor. And that's the first floor. Let me go down. You look at the little, that's the top floor. That is what I wanted to start with. So you walk into the gallery, you come out of the street, and the whole background of the paintings are painted by, she takes paint, she turns it on. So these are horizontal paintings. She turns them on the side so they become vertical, and she drips the blue paint down. She lets that dry. And once that dries, she starts using that white little marker and painting on it. And if you look at them up close, I want you to look at it first. And then I want you to go to the individual pieces because they're going to blow you out of your mind. Because first they look very abstract, and then you see that they're bridges in there and they're different images in there. They're just, I love the show. I mean, I think the show is exquisite, and you can see that it looks great. Now that is the upstairs of the gallery again, where she's doing bigger works, and these look like the sun exploding. And then the little works on the wall are painted on pieces of wood that look like books, because she's trying to show you a whole universe. I want to get to the individual images. Ari, I think if you go down, they show thumbnails. I think you have to go down. No, I think it's, that goes there. No, those are the individuals. But then I think after that, you get to the, I think it shows it on the bottom. Keep going down, press release below. There they are. Thank you. Ari, you're getting great at this. You're really, I'm so impressed with you. So now look at this. I wanted you to see the whole room. And then this is how galleries try to sell work. Now you'll see details. So you press on one, then go to the next one, Ari. And they're not there, not the next one there, on those little boxes. That's it. Now you can see detail. Now you can get up close and see how beautifully she articulates the surface. Now you see, you're like looking up at the star. Now, one of my students said to me, what happens if I just like the blow up better? And I say, I'm too bad for you. You're going to buy the whole painting, but it's the way so people can get up closer to see the surface. I really love watching Deb look really close at them, because you see the bridges in there. Do you see the bridges in that one? That's, thank you, Ari. And the bridge right there. So she gives you little presents if you look carefully at her work. So I have to say, this is one of the only galleries that does this. There are a few galleries that do this because they know that some people are going to buy the work this way. And therefore you can get to see up close. I would not buy a work this way, but some people do. That's like seeing a swing. Are these not gorgeous? I saved this towards the end because I figured anyone who stays with me the whole time should get a little extra present. Now you see that I told you, remember sometimes they put a person in there so you see the scale. It looks like there's hair on there. I just love the way she draws and paints. It's all acrylic. And these are not on books, but it says acrylic and permanent pen on wood, but they look like they're books. No, they are not books. I have to laugh with all of you because I took my group there last week and they said, are you sure it's not a book? And I said, I promise you it's not a book. So I had to get the gallery owner who I know well. And I said, can you please come and talk to my group? And she said to me, they don't believe you. It's not a book. I said, no. And she goes, everyone comes in, says, why is she doing it on a book if it's not a book? And the answer is because she wants to. All right.
Hey, Toby, there's a question as to this artist's background.
Yes.
Where is she from and what language was she speaking?
That was Portuguese. And she comes from, let's go to her press release. That's a good thing you should ask because I've seen it many times, but I never remember. So let's go to it and we'll see where she comes from. I think she's from Latin America, but let's stop and go to her bio. You can go to her bio and we'll see where she was born. I wanted you to see artists that were not only from the United States. Press release, here it goes. Sandra explored the potential of drawing and creating. Go further down. Usually it says where she was born. Here it is. Born in Brazil. She currently lives in Sao Paulo. I wanted to do this because I don't want anyone to think that I'm American phobic. What? You're raising your hand? Yeah.
You mean American philic?
Say that again?
You said you don't want people to think that you're American. You're not phobic. You mean philic. You were showing.
Right. I believe great artists come from all over the world. I never believe in this one group that should be anything, man, woman, sex, I don't believe in that. I believe in artists are artists. Yes. What do you want to ask?
Who has a question?
You have to unmute. Yes. My bad. Yeah, right there. You can unmute.
They can't unmute. I have to unmute them. So if there's someone who wants to say something, I need to know a name because is it Bimya? Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. And then we'll go to the last stop because we're.
So she looked, Ana de Aguilar is like from that same area of Brazil, and she does art that looks very similar, like she does macro and microcosms.
Yes, I know that work too. I know that work too.
Wow, that's nice that they're kind of working almost like with that same feel.
Well, you should know that I can tell you, I think LA artists look very different than Chicago artists, than New York artists. And I've learned as I get older, I love that you're laughing, Louise, because I don't believe in gender. I don't believe in age, but I think there's something about the light and the feeling of certain places that influence artists greatly.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's go to the last artist because I'm hoping you guys enjoyed yourself. I feel terrible for losing a few people, but let's keep going.
Okay, last artist. Where are we going on the street now?
We're going down 2 blocks away, 3 blocks away. I wanted to end with Doug Aitken. He's a brilliant filmmaker, and you see what it says on there? Wilderness. So he's a very, very famous artist. I want to look at the images, but I'm going to spend 1 minute. I want to show you the images and then show the film at the end because the images are just breathtaking. You walk into a room, it's a 14-minute film, and it's so gorgeous, like, oh my God, watch it afterwards. But I want to take you into the environment. So what I love, this is one of my favorite pieces of his. So he's very obsessed with that whole idea of what is a telephone? What does it mean that you're talking to somebody? And he does these beautiful installations. These are cast resin, acrylic, and LED lights. And he's telling you a story about what communication is. So these are the images in the show, and we'll watch 1 minute of the film, or 2 minutes, because I don't want anyone to get mad at me.
Okay, hold on. Get that ready. And
thank you very much for being so patient. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. We're not seeing all 8 minutes. We're seeing 2 minutes.
Moving into a very interesting information landscape, and the way we absorb information and experience is so radically different than decades in the past. And the idea now that there is the kind of organic space, the tactile one when I can walk outside and put my hand on the ground and touch the snow today, versus I can feel my pocket ringing and I can open up and there's an image of the snow falling. That idea, I think, presents a different condition, a different perceptual condition than we have really dealt with in the past. And to me, it opens up a kind of landscape which is much more nonlinear, where the idea of experiences become less singular and more collective. The idea of the straight story becomes increasingly broken and things are fragmented. And I think more and more we're able to accept that and to work with that idea of a kind of polyphonic landscape where many things happen at once on many different mediums. And what happens then is really each of us are authoring our own film in real time. And that film is the hour that we live in, the day that we live in, the life that we live. And that's a subtotal of all the fragments around us, whether they're tactile or synthetic. And I think this condition is fascinating, and it allows us to question time in different ways, to explore narratives and storytelling in ways that are unique, and to understand the complexity of what's around us in ways which are very different than the straight story that we've often grown up with. It's a condition that
I'm stopping here because I don't want to lose anyone else. If you like it, you can go back and watch it, but I wanted to end with him. because what he is saying is what I'm trying to tell you. We are living in such a fascinating time where art can be interpreted in so many different ways, and there's so many different ways to learn. I want to thank you, Ari, for doing this with me. If we all agree that I get more time next time, I will take it, but I don't want to be a chazer. I don't know if you know what a chazer is, but I don't want to be that. I was told a certain amount of time, and I'm 5 minutes, 7 minutes late, and I apologize. But do you understand what I try and do on a tour? I'm trying to show you very different ways of seeing art. There is no one right way. Now you'll say to me, Toby, but look at your work. How can you like such different artists? And I would say to you, God blessed me with 3 amazing children. They are totally different. The only thing I can tell you is they have beautiful souls. They give a lot of charity, but they're totally different. I mean, I love them, but each one of them has a different way of thinking, and I admire them. I don't want clones. And I feel that way in the art world. Now people say to me, but look who you collect. They're so different than you. And I'm going like, I can make what I make. Why would I want to buy what I make from somebody else? I like liking a different artist. And I don't believe anymore there's a hierarchy. I don't believe a painter is better than a sculptor or a photographer or a ceramic maker. Why did I show you that amazing artist in England? I love that she uses craft. Why did I show you somebody who's not even using paint? She's using a special type of pen, but the underpainting is with oil paint, with acrylic paint. I'm saying, decide what you want to do. Make great art. Say something interesting. Even just looking at all of your faces on the screen, none of you look the same. That's what's so interesting. Anyway, thank you very much, Ari. Thank you.
Thank you, Toby. So when we do for our CSP, like really high level donors, an actual walking tour with you in New York, how many galleries do you usually go to? Today we went to the Petzel Gallery, the Michael Rosenfeld Gallery, Jack Shainman Gallery, the Paula Cooper Gallery, Tanya Bonakdar Gallery, and then 303 Gallery. That's a lot of galleries. Do you do that many in one day, or what do you do?
Well, first of all, I'm going to be honest with you. As I told you, I never spend less than 2 hours, and we always go over. But they've known me for years, so they don't get mad at me. So I like going to 8 galleries in 2 hours. Why do I do the number 8? I sometimes do 6. 6 is the lowest I do, because if I pick 3 or 4, then some people don't like anything. At the end of class, I say to everyone, please tell me you found at least 2 or 3 shows you liked. And usually they do. If you like everything, I hit a home run with places loaded. That doesn't usually happen. I just want, and remember, some of these people have been taking my class for 10 and 15 years. I mean, some of these people have taken my class for 20 years. There's some people that only took it for 2 or 3 years, but I'm always looking for different things. The difference that happened in COVID, and I have to say, I love it. And I just discussed with a person that hired me, I'm going to continue doing online even after COVID. In other words, I do it twice a week because I never let more than 15 people in the class, because I love that back and forth. I want to hear what people think. So I usually take 15 people, and at the end of every show, I say, all right, tell me, what did you think? What did you like? What didn't you like? You know, we look close, we look far away. But now I do these videos, and I love these videos because it's important for you to hear from them and not just from me. I think it's important to hear what the artist has to say. And I don't know about all of you, I like that she didn't speak English. I love that she spoke Portuguese, and we were forced. I don't know if you know this, I don't know if I already told you, I had lost my voice, and I couldn't teach in person for a while. So school gave me a class to teach in China. I thought I'd hate it. I loved it. I did it at 10:30. I did it from 7:30 at night till 10:30 at night, because it was 7:30 in the morning till 10:30. I learned so much about a different culture that I didn't understand. First of all, everyone called me professor. I had no name. I was professor. I wasn't Toby or Mr. Kahn. I was just professor. I would say, do your homework for 6 hours. They spent 6 hours on their homework. I couldn't believe it. I told that to my American students. I at the most got 2.5 hours. I'd say 6 hours, and they'd say, well, we're very busy. But if I told them in China 6 hours, they spent the same, and you looked at their homework, it was like, oh my God. So I'm saying to you, it's good to learn different cultures.
Thank you. Well, thank you for our first in our gallery virtual adventures with you in this series. I will share with all of you all the links to all the galleries. People want to know where Sandra Cinto was in. She's in the Tanya Bonakdar Gallery. If you're in the New York area, go check them out before they close, right? They can run down there right now. What time is it? No, what time do the galleries stay open till?
6. It's 5 o'clock.
Louise, if you go right now to Chelsea, now you know.
But you should know something about that gallery. That gallery, like I told you, Michael Rosenfeld shows, that gallery shows a lot of, show Sarah Z. They show pieces that are not always easy to put in your home. I don't remember his name. That guy who did, it was in the Shed. He did the, he had a great show in the Shed earlier. He did things with spiders. I mean, I love that gallery, but it's really a lot of installation art. So that is what I like learning also. And you're going to all learn certain galleries show different type of work, and you can already guess what they like.
So we're going to end now, but I will say, if you live in New York and you get yourself a CSP t-shirt or a hat, go to one of these galleries, take a picture of yourself. You're allowed to take pictures in these galleries?
Yeah, but you have to wear masks. You have to wear masks.
Okay, fine. Wear a mask, wear your hat, take a picture, send it to me. We'll send you a fun prize. Okay. Thanks for the quality time, Toby. We'll see you on Sunday in the Phillips Collection program and then back on CSP.
Please come. I really hope you come. I really want to have, it's my birthday and I'd love you to be there.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Good to see you. Take care. See you soon. Bye.